Another devastating blow for restaurant owners here in New York City.
Amid a rise in new COVID cases and hospitalizations, indoor dining will shut down beginning Monday. But how much of a role do restaurants play in spreading the virus? Governor Cuomo released data showing it is living room spread that is nearly 74% of new infections in the state. Restaurants and bars account for more than 1% of the spread. And while that number is small, he says the rate of those infections are the fastest growing. CBS 2's political reporter Marcia Kramer now with more.
You could call it the Last Supper. These New York City residents chowing down at Enzo's restaurant on Arthur Avenue as Governor Cuomo orders restaurants in New York City to stop indoor dining on Monday. The governor says he's working
on the theory of do everything that you can do within reason.
The governor says he's ending indoor dining in New York City because of the increase in hospitalizations in the 5 boroughs, an increase in the transmission rate, and the density.
I think that's reasonable.
Restaurant owners say that depends on your definition of reasonable. State officials say they've analyzed 46,000 data points and discovered that 74% of COVID spread in New York is from household gatherings. 1.43% comes from bars and restaurants, the 5th highest cause of infection. Maria Durendi, the owner of Enzo's restaurant, says it's crazy math that just doesn't add up.
What does he think is going to happen if people can't come out to eat? There's only going to be more gatherings at home. None of it makes sense.
Hair salons and personal care establishments, which have a 0.14% spread, and gyms where there's a 0.06% spread, will be allowed to stay open. But the news comes as the New York State Restaurant Association says that 54% of restaurants here say they will not survive the next 6 months without federal aid. The group adding that 1 out of every 6 restaurants in New York have already closed, 4,500 in New York City alone. The governor insisted that the restaurants can still make money from outdoor dining, takeout, and delivery. He also pointed out that their losses are his losses, too, in state sales tax.
Literally every dollar a business loses, we lose a percentage of that dollar. So our calibration is as much economic activity as you can in respecting the public health and the risk.
Meanwhile, restaurants here in the suburbs are waiting their turn in the economic meat grinder. Governor Cuomo says he could impose more restrictions as early as next week. In Rye, New York, I'm Marcia Kramer, CBS 2 News.